No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. With Dave Minuk, with Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to discuss the end of the Winnipeg Jets 5-game road trip, a road trip that saw them play 4 out of 5 games against teams below them in the standings, and with a chance tonight to make this a winning road trip, the Jets fall just short, losing in Nashville on Broadway by a 2-1 margin, ending the road trip with a record of 2 wins and 3 losses, and ending the stretch of 8 of 9 on the road with a record of 5 wins and 4 losses. Gentlemen, good to see you both on this Tuesday evening. Hope you guys are doing well as we get set to discuss the Jets and the Predators, an old Central Division rival reignited tonight in Lower Broadway.
Yeah, it was nice to see the Jets play a team in their own division. It felt like for a while they were a member of the Eastern Conference, but yeah, it was a swing game tonight, right? And I mean, I think you could say, boys, that even if the Jets tied this game up, sent it to overtime, and then found a way to get the extra point, you could still argue that, you know, this was a bit of a disappointing road trip, mainly because of the way it started. But, you know, going into tonight's game, you knew Nashville hadn't played since Saturday after beating the Kings. You know, the Jets were waiting for them. And, you know, like we've talked about so many times, you know, when the Jets get an early lead like that, you have to say to yourself, like, okay, this is exactly how you would write it up before the game, right? So beautiful pass by Cole Perfetti to Pierre-Luc Dubois. And for the most part, I mean, the first period was really good, right? Like there were parts of that period where, you know, the Jets had the Predators hemmed in. Scheifele, Wheeler, Ehlers, and Wheeler looked really strong. Connor Dubois, Perfetti looked really strong. And, you know, the second period, it all just fell apart. Like that was maybe the worst period on this road trip. And after the period was over, I hadn't looked at the shots. And then I saw that the shots were 18-5. Just talking about the second period, I was kind of shocked because you knew that the Predators, it was kind of like the script was flipped, right, guys? Like, and it was just so easy for the Predators to gain the Jet zone. There was just way too much time, way too much speed generated in the neutral zone by the Predators, and the Jets just had nothing. They were flat. And, you know, the Predators, like, give Connor Hellebuyck credit. He kept this game close, and the Predators definitely had a lot of chances, but just way too many odd man rushes, way too many shots given up. And then, you know, the Jets made a good push there late, but, you know, Ehlers hits the crossbar. So that game could have easily gone into overtime, Dave, but that second period obviously was where it completely fell apart for the Jets.
You know, and before the game began, we were wondering what the lineup was gonna look like, because Rick Bowness was asked in the morning media availability by Jeff Hamilton if there were going to be any lineup changes, and he said, well, we have some game time decisions. And of course, around 4:30, the Jets announced that they had reassigned Ville Heinola to the Moose and taken Logan Stanley off of IR, which led you to believe, in my mind, I know some people are wondering if Dylan Samberg was a healthy scratch. I mean, I'm inclined to believe, and I guess we'll find out because people are kind of getting upset. I don't think you're going to take Dylan Samberg out of the lineup the way he's been playing, especially on the PK. So my suspicion would be that even though it's his birthday, I suspect he was taken out because he was one of those game time decisions, along with, my guess would be, Axel Jonsson Fjällby, who of course blocked the shot in Philly late and had to be helped off the ice. So those two guys would be my guesses as to who were labeled as game time decisions by Rick Bowness. Of course, he didn't expand on that. So the only person who we know was taken out, of course, was Dylan Samberg in favor of Logan Stanley, who hadn't played since December 9th. And again, I know that some people are upset by that removal, or that move, I should say. But again, my inclination is to believe that it wasn't a decision other than the fact that Dylan Samberg may have done. I know I couldn't remember. I thought he maybe he may have blocked a shot, and he expressed a little pain in that game against Philly. I can't remember exactly, because all these games tend to blend in together.
Maybe only
but
do, don't they?
but I believe that maybe something may have happened. I can't remember exactly. It's like the Josh Norris play in the game before against for the Senators and the Jets on Saturday, where he basically is done for the season. And someone tweeted, I think it was Joe,
and he just came back. Josh Norris was
I know,
and then he played 5 games or something like that. So,
but it was crazy because he like Joe from Winnipeg, I believe, asked me like, who was it on the Jets who knocked him out? So I went back and watched. Nobody. Like, it was just it was a completely random play where he and DJ Smith had said something like he just overextended himself. I watched his final shift. Nobody touched him. Or like marginal contact, nothing that would have caused anything of significance. So he obviously extended himself. And I'm just saying, so sometimes things happen. We don't necessarily notice them. They're not of major significance, but it's obviously it was enough that, and again,
look,
like
I injure myself sleeping sometimes. So never, that talk about, these guys, when they reach too far, it's no wonder that they sometimes can injure themselves on innocuous looking plays.
Exactly. So, I mean, look, ultimately we'll find out hopefully post game with the questions from Jeff Hamilton as to what the status is. And, if we have,
I think you're probably right, Dave. I think there's a good chance that Samberg was dealing with something. Also, the announcement that Logan Stanley was taken off of IR and Heinola was sent down, that was a little bit later in the day, right? If I'm not mistaken.
About 4:30.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you know for sure that, Stanley isn't going to play tonight, then, you announce that at, late morning, early afternoon. By the way, it's not just Dylan Samberg's birthday, it's a Champagne birthday, 24 years old. So unfortunately, he doesn't get to play in Nashville, but I'm sure he's still having a good time.
It's more like a Champizzle birthday then.
What is a Champizzle birthday, Dave?
Well, if you don't get to celebrate with champagne, you're probably drinking Champizzle.
It's if you're partying with Snoop Dogg. Yeah, that's what it is. Champizzle.
I understand that they wouldn't have that kind of lingo in the 1950s, but it's all good.
I can't count the number of people who've confused Dave and Snoop Dogg. I mean, it happens all the time when when Dave's dropping Champizzle left, right, and center here on the Illegal Curve post game show. But that's what happens sometimes. As soon as we hear an update, if we do, regarding the health status of any individuals, we'll bring that to you here.
Thanks, Mendizzle.
Yeah, can you both be quiet here on the Illegal Curve post game show? Obviously, the Jets don't like going 2-3 on this road trip because there were a lot of opportunities where, you're playing against some weaker teams and you want to win those games. The Montreal game tonight, obviously this is a game you'd want to win. A Central Division rival, again, a team that's in your own division. That said, I mean, I watched this game tonight and I look at the Nashville Predators, and to me, this isn't a very good team. This is a team that
definition of a middling team, Drew.
Yeah, really a middling team. This is a team that had to scratch and claw and get some exceptional goaltending and a little bit of luck, given that the Jets hit a couple posts late in the game, just to defeat the Jets 2-1. So, I mean, yes, you don't.
They're only 3 points back of the Flames, though, for the last wildcard spot. The only problem is the Avalanche are also winning tonight, and they have one extra game in hand. So all I'm saying is the Predators are actually still in the playoff race. But I was telling Dave when we were watching the game here, the main problem is I just mentioned, you have the Avalanche between you and that last wild card spot. So I just don't think it's looking good for Nashville.
No, to me, there's no comparison. Like, you watch Nashville, there's just not a lot to this team. There's no, they have some nice players, or some players who look nice on paper, I'd say, more than they actually do in terms of impact on a day-to-day basis. I mean, Roman Josi, of course, can still play on any team in this league, and he can play, and he's a great player. He's a superstar still. UC Saros, obviously, tremendous goaltender, no question about it. But again, you look at their forward group, and there's nobody there that excites you. There's nobody there who is, really, taking over a game on any consistent basis. So this Nashville Predators team, which is, they are, middling, I would say at best. You look at them, now they've won 22 games of the 46 that they've played. They have a negative goal differential. So good on them for getting the win. I'm not taking anything away from their victory because, 23 wins now in 47 games. They get full marks for the victory. But, to me, I don't see them in the same caliber as the Winnipeg Jets moving forward, because we're going to see a lot of Nashville, because this is the first time these teams have played this year, if I'm not mistaken. Did they play once earlier?
Yeah.
I don't remember that game at all. What happened in it?
They played in Winnipeg. Winnipeg won 2-1.
Okay, because I have no. That must have been very early in the year because I have no recollection of that game.
It was 2 weeks ago.
No,
I'm kidding. But it was actually, no, it was about a month ago though. It was in, I want to say middle of maybe December 17th.
Really? I have
Yeah.
absolutely no recollection of that game
It's all
whatsoever.
that fireball, Drew.
I was gonna say, did I do the
move on.
post game? I'm getting a little bit concerned about my alcohol intake, and I wasn't even drinking Fireball that much back then. So this is a little
Sorry,
concerning.
I was wrong. December
Yeah.
15th.
Okay, close enough. I have obviously it was a fairly nondescript game because I don't remember a single play from it. Maybe because it was a 2-1 game, but in any event, what I was just saying is like, yes, the Jets are disappointed in not having a winning record at the end of this road trip, and yes, they've been average over the last 9 games. Let's say, as we said, 5-4. Over the last 9 games, 2-3 on this road trip. But I really do believe that this team is just trying to get through these next, next 3 home games, Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday. And then you're going to see them, that break that they get is going to be so impactful for this team moving forward to the last sort of, I guess that would be the last 20 games of the regular season. I get that 30 games of the regular season after the next 3 at home. What is that? That's the post-game show from that day?
It was. And coincidentally, I'm wearing the same hoodie.
That's good. You're wearing the same hoodie. I really have no clue.
Just so you know, you were on it. Confirmed.
Was I good? I have no idea if I had a good performance that night or not.
Subpar.
Okay, subpar. Fair enough. That makes a fair bit of sense. In any event, it clearly shows that I don't remember this game whatsoever. But the Jets, the second period obviously was the issue for the Jets tonight. Just not a good period. They get through it still with the lead, or yes, no, they didn't at that point in time. Nashville scored late in the period, but you can see that that second period is really what I think by and large didn't cost them the game, because that would be a little bit too extreme. But you could see that they just didn't have much skating legs at that point. They got them back for the back half of the third period, but that second period was a real problem in tonight's game.
Yeah, and you mentioned you're kind of looking at the road trip on a macro level. Like, I think beyond the record, I think you throw in the Arizona Coyotes game that they won 2-1 a couple of weeks ago, right? They didn't play very well. Obviously, the back-to-back on the road against Buffalo and Pittsburgh was really impressive. But remember, a couple of weeks back, exactly 2 weeks, in fact, 2 weeks ago, the game in Detroit, right? So of these 9 games that you mentioned, Drew, you're 5-4 in your last 9, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and
exactly. 5-4.
Some of those are pretty bad losses in terms of the way you played. I'm not talking about the deficit in the score, because obviously we talked about it. This game could have easily gone to overtime if Nick Ehlers doesn't hit the crossbar and that goes in.
Sure.
And the Jets had a ton of chances. In the last 5 or 6 minutes of the third period, they were all over the Preds, right? But I think it's the most concerning is you've had some trouble scoring goals here. Like we talked about that quite a bit on the Saturday show, right? Like you go back to the Coyotes game where they got Vejmelka, and then you go back to the Montreal and the Toronto games where they had only a couple goals to start off the road trip, and there's been a lot of defensive breakdowns. So I think there is a little bit to be concerned about. Obviously, the Jets are going to be a playoff team. I mean, unless they lose 10 games in a row or something ridiculous, like the Jets are going to be a playoff team. But I think it's the way that they've lost some of these games, and the fact that if it's not Pierre-Luc Dubois, Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, or Nick Ehlers,
right?
Like the scoring has dried up, guys. Like I was telling Dave, I really like Carson Kuhlman on that line with Adam Lowry and Morgan Barron. Thought they were good, but like Lowry is really, struggling 20 plus games now without a goal. And he's had a really solid season, right? 22, Dave is saying, right? So Lowry's really struggling. You saw Carson Kuhlman drive to the net, and then, Lowry didn't get all of it. But I thought that just kind of sums up where it is for Lowry, right? Like the puck just isn't going in for him now, even though he's getting some decent looks, right? So you're just not getting a lot of offense from the third and fourth lines. Like I think we agree that, the top 6 right now looks great. I mean, you love the way Perfetti looks with Connor and Dubois, and Scheifele, Ehlers, and Wheeler have looked really solid, right? So, but you can't win on a consistent basis with just 2 forward lines that are going, right? So they need to get that going. Hellebuck has been fine. He's doing his job, but yeah, I think you don't like the 2 wins out of 5 games, Drew, but I also don't think that you like that the offense has dried up quite a bit here over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I don't have an argument with anything you said.
I just wanted to interject quickly, Drew, but remember when Paul Maurice brought the face-off specialist in that training camp. I
Yeah.
think it's time to bring that back, because I think I saw it somewhere. I think it was our friend Joe Pascucci said that the only center who had a winning percentage today was Kevin Stenlund, who went 7 out of 9. Everybody else was below 50. And look, I understand that people are saying it's not as big a deal, but especially on the special teams, when you're not winning those faceoffs and you're not starting with the puck and they're killing 30 seconds,
but the face-off percentage ended 50-50 at the end of the game today, Dave. So I know,
fine, but yeah, because Kevin Stenlund went 7 out of 9.
Well,
but everybody else was below 50%, Drew.
Wow. I mean, Scheifele went 8, had 8 wins and 9 losses. So, I mean, again, I understand the point, and he was 47%. So he was sub 50, no question about it. I mean, they won the key draws towards the end of the game there as well, by and large. They, when they were pushing at the end of the game. I understand the issue of the faceoffs, because I believe that it matters. The need to win a faceoff when it really truly matters is an important one. When you need to win a faceoff, I understand that over the course of the season, it's going to level out and it's going to even out by and large. And, if you look at it over the entirety of the season, it might not be a big deal. But when you need to win one, boy, do you need somebody who can win one? So that it would be an issue to me. But, look, this team needs another forward. We've talked about it, for a long time now. They need one more top 6 forward. And if you fill in that top 6 forward gap, everything else just almost falls into place a little bit. I mean, Morgan Barron is stepping up in an impressive fashion on that third line over the last number of games, I would say.
Yeah, he's looking.
Adam Lowry clearly Adam Lowry's never going to be a significant point producer in this league. He goes through too many stretches where he just can't get a goal. You can't have a guy go, 15, 20 games, 22 games where he's at now without scoring a goal and him being in your top 9. It's just not, conducive to, I would say, long-term success. But if Barron is starting to go and maybe taking a more impressive role or taking a more significant role on that line, and then you get somebody else to play on that line, replacing Carson Kuhlman. Not that Kuhlman played poorly. I think he did. But again, he's not a goal scorer either. But then, if you got 2 guys who can maybe, in Barron, who's maybe finding more of an offensive touch, and then somebody else, then you can handle Lowry, not being much of a point producer. You can't have 2 of those guys on the same line with Lowry and Kuhlman like they currently do.
Yeah, for now, I said this earlier. I like Kuhlman there as opposed to Saku Maanalainen. And Kuhlman is a goal scorer, Drew. He scored the game-winning goal against the Flyers. I obviously know what you're talking about. Kuhlman, is limited offensively, but I love his hustle. And I said this to you guys, right when the Jets acquired him. I love his low skating style, like his low center of gravity. Like, I just love how because he's not the biggest guy, but he's just a smart player like Kuhlman. So, but I agree with you. I think, if the Jets do acquire a top 6/top 9 forward like we expect, then a guy like Kuhlman is going to be a 4th line guy /13th forward. And I have absolutely no problem with that, right? Because then you're kind of cycling, the Sam Gagnes and the Axel Janssens Fjallbys, in and out of the lineup, whoever's playing the best, as you mentioned, Drew. So I think right now that's an issue. I mean, I don't think any of us are necessarily expecting Chevy to pull the trigger on a move, over the next couple days, leading up to the game against the Sabres, right? So they've got to figure this out. Like, they scored some goals against the Flyers, but you look back to that game against the Coyotes, and we talked about it against the Leafs. They were struggling to score against the Canadians to finish. They were creating offense, but they weren't finishing. And so that's an issue right now. I think another thing is the power play. They haven't scored a power play goal over the last couple of games. And yes, they've had, they've looked good out there in terms of possession. And I forget if it was the second period power play. I'd have to go back and look. Somebody can help me out. But the Jets' first power play unit was out there for like a good minute and 40 seconds. And again, like, they didn't capitalize. Like, you can move the puck well, and Kyle Connor and Josh Morrissey can do all of their edge work and their skating and everything like that. Mm-hmm. But you got to put the puck in the net, especially in a close game like that. That you knew, like, you got the feeling throughout that second period when the Predators were absolutely peppering Hellebuyck. You got the feeling that this wasn't going to be like a 7-6 final. You've got 2, Vezina quality goaltenders in Saros and Hellebuyck. So, like, you like some of the looks that they had, but at the end of the day, like, you got to bury those, Dave. So I think the power play is a little bit concerning. I don't think it's concerning long term, but it's been a strength of yours for so many games this season, and the last 2 games it's really let you down. So I think the Jets will be fine. They've got 3 games coming up before the break, and as Drew mentioned, you want to go into that break hopefully winning all 3 of those games. But you got to get back to the fundamentals. You've had way too many defensive breakdowns, and you've got to have more balanced scoring. To me, that's a huge issue right now in the 3rd and 4th lines. You're just not getting any goals aside from the odd goal from a Carson Kuhlman or whatever. It's just not enough.
Yeah, Drew, just let me quickly interject, because I like this comment from Patrick, because I think it's true, and we highlighted, Ezzy and I talked about it, but the Predators so many times causing havoc in front of Connor Hellebuck. It was all mustard in front of him, and yet the Jets, more often than not, nobody's in front. And the comment's absolutely accurate. I mean, UC Saros is an all-star goaltender, and if he sees a shot, he's going to stop the shot most often, right? Yeah. So, I know that he was beat by by Nikolai Ehlers shot, and a couple others hit post crossbar. Goaltenders would tell you that's all they gave them to shoot at. But the reality is the Jets didn't create enough traffic in front, enough chaos in front. And Saros, if he sees the shot, he's going to make a stop. So I thought that was a good comment by Patrick, and I wanted to highlight it.
Fair enough. There you go. You've done your job. You highlighted it. Why don't we get into the Betway game recap? It won't be a long one, not a ton of goals in tonight's contest, but nonetheless, we can still delve into it. The Betway game recap is brought to you by Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront. With a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. I guess the narrative of the Jets starting on time might be going away, because they certainly started on time again tonight, 48 seconds into the game. Pierre-Luc Dubois, his 21st of the year, assist to Cole Perfetti and Dylan DeMello. It's Matthias Ekholm. I think it's an attempted pass to Matt Duchene, and Duchene either misses it or it goes right through his skates. Whatever it is, it goes to DeMello up at the right point. He finds Cole Perfetti in the low slot, who makes a wonderful pass to Pierre-Luc Dubois, who has the easiest goal that he's scored this year to make it 1-0 for the Winnipeg Jets very early on in this game, Ezzy.
Yeah, I mean, how many times are we going to say, like, beautiful vision, unbelievable vision by Cole Perfetti, right? And he just continues, and he just continues to close the gap between himself and Matty Beniers. I think he's 6 points back, Dave. 7 points back. So, I mean, it's going to be a good Calder race, right? Like, you've got Mason McTavish in there. Who's the goaltender? I guess Logan Thompson. Yeah, Logan Thompson's considered a rookie, right? Even though he's 24 years old, right? But yeah, I just love the pass here. And you're right, Drew. The Predators, I think it was Matthias Ekholm was clearing the puck there, if I'm not mistaken. And it was Ekholm. Yeah, and it was who was it in front of the net that I think it was he was taking Kyle Connor, but basically Dubois was just left all alone there. And yeah, just a beautiful pass by Dubois and an easy empty net for Dubois. Beautiful pass by Perfetti. Sorry, beautiful large empty net there for Dubois, and it was an easy goal for him.
Yeah, it was a simple goal. It was a great play. From Nashville's perspective, it's a careless turnover. An unnecessary turnover. Ekholm should have been able to hit Duchene better. Maybe Duchene is supposed to do a little bit more with the attempted pass. Instead, it ends up in the back of the net, and the Jets have the start that they want to this period. And, shots in the first period were 15-13. So there was no shortage of shots on goal within 20 minutes. And then the second period is where things really began to stumble backwards for the Winnipeg Jets. Not a lot going right for them in that second period. They were outshot, as we talked about, 18-5 in that second period. And you wondered, is Connor Hellebuck going to be able to stand on his head the entire time? Well, it wasn't quite the entire time, but it was a lot of it until the 13:49 mark of the second period, Dave. Cody Glass, his 6th of the season, assist to Roman Josi and Philip Forsberg. that comes to tie the game late in the second period. You talk about net front presence. Well, this is net front presence. You get a tip on the puck and beats Connor Hellebuyck, and the Predators have it tied up at ones after 40 minutes, Dave.
Sure enough, trust a Winnipegger to get the goal. And Cody Glass, he's been, I think he has 1 goal, 5 assists or something like that in his last 5 or 6 games. So he's doing well. And, I know that folks are cheering for the Jets here, but I think everybody's happy to see the level of success he's had transitioning from, playing in the American Hockey League to the NHL for the Nashville Predators after toiling away with Milwaukee. But, he's a nice kid, and you can see the joy. Everybody knows the video that they played when they told him that he was going to be a full-time NHLer. So, yeah, I mean, it's exactly what we're talking about, Drew. You wanted to see guys standing in front of the net and making their presence felt, and that's exactly what he did. And look, Roman Josi is one of the most unbelievable players to watch play hockey. And I remember, and this is years ago, I watched a random Predators Blackhawks game, and it was like, I don't remember how long ago it was. And it was like, I watched Josi, and he's weaving and bobbing, and like the things this guy can do is really just unbelievable. And he still does it at an elite level, and he's been doing it for years. So, he really is an exceptional player, and he's got great vision. And yeah, he knows that there's traffic in front of Connor Hellebuyck, and Connor Hellebuyck to that point had played very well. And so, and I'm not blaming Connor Hellebuyck. I don't think he played poorly, of course, but I'm saying that they did what they needed to do, which is take his eyes away and deflect the puck. And that's a hard goal to save, even for an all-star goaltender like Connor Hellebuyck.
Yeah, and one thing here too, I wanted to point out, because Drew was harping on it a little bit earlier. He's not wrong.
I mean, harping. I've never harped in my life. I'm offended at the accusation.
I've seen you harp.
Glass
wins the face-off and it goes to the net, right? And we talked about it was against Kevin Stenlund, right, Dave? And Stenlund was the best guy in the face-off.
Stenlund, I think Stenlund was on for both the Preds goals.
He was.
Yeah.
So, Glass wins the face-off, goes to the net, Stenlund takes him. So, again, in that particular case, we're not saying that, the face-off was the reason why, but in this particular case, right, face-offs are important. So, again, it's tough to quantify, right? Remember, we used to talk about this, all the time when we had I'm forgetting who we always used to have on to talk about advanced stats, but regardless, we always used to talk about how hard it was to quantify face-offs and how important they were, right? And I think, it's situational. But in this particular case, even though Stenlund was good tonight in the face-off circle, look, it was a clean win right by Glass, gets it back to Josi, as we talked about. And Josi, similar to how good Josh Morrissey and Neil Pionk have been this year, just putting pucks, on net and in good places to tip them. This was just a beauty tip by Cody Glass.
That it was, and it gave the Predators the tying goal late in the second period. Third period, the game-winning goal comes at the 5:38 mark, and it's Tanner Jeannot, who had gone, what did they say, 38 games between goals? Something absolutely ridiculous like that on the broadcast. It was a very long number of games that began with a 3. It was the first time he scored in a long, long time. He
usually just uses his fist to score goals.
Usually, he's got some offensive talent. So the fact that he went 38 games without a goal is hard to believe. I mean, he's definitely
seen this. Have you seen this Nashville team, Drew?
That's fair enough. That's a good point, Dave.
I like Tanner Jeannot's game.
I like it. No, I do too. I do too.
He hustles, and Dave mentioned, he's a guy that can drop the mitts.
Yeah, he's a power forward.
Yeah, he's got some good hands on him.
Yeah, he's a Saskatchewan boy.
Yeah, and to Drew's point earlier, right? After Philip Forsberg, Ryan Johansson, Matt Duchene, Nino Niederreiter obviously hasn't had the impact.
Don't forget about Jakub Trenin.
Yeah, but honestly though, Dave, it's top heavy, right?
Those guys all disappear. I mean, Forsberg, Duchene, and Johansson can just disappear from games. So they're, yes, they're top heavy, but it's not like their top is that impressive.
Right. They're not like Toronto top heavy
or the Jets top heavy. How many games, where the Jets, best players, aren't at least impactful or noticeable. I mean, Matt Duchene for the entirety of his career has, flashes, but then he goes away and he disappears for 10 or 15 games. Same with Johansson, Philip Forsberg. I mean, these guys have a lot of they don't have a ton of tread left on their tires either. They've been through this league many times, but they're not top. I mean, if that was their second line, that would be fine.
Yeah.
But they're not top. They don't match up with the better teams, number one line. And then behind them, there's really not a ton there anymore. That's why, when Eeli Tolvanen, when he didn't turn out to be.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Well, they shouldn't have put him on waivers, obviously. He's playing fine for Seattle. But when he didn't turn out to be the second coming, you saw the drop off. I mean, you look at this Predator. I was thinking about this during the game. When was the last time the Predators really drafted and developed a forward, an impactful forward?
Dave's just going to keep saying Yakov Trenin
and I'm going
until you acknowledge him, Drew. No, but you're right. And Nashville kind of, if you think about it, right? Nashville's kind of similar to like a Detroit, a Philadelphia, maybe not as much Philadelphia right now, but previously, like Team St. Louis, teams that consistently would make the playoffs and they wouldn't get like top 10, top 15 picks. Right. And in addition, Drew, as you know, Nashville's a team that traded away first round picks, right? Because they were the President's Trophy winners. And for a couple of years there, they were going for the Stanley Cup. So you're right. I mean, they have struggled to develop their own prospects. Eeli Tolvanen was one of them, but obviously they put him on waivers, but he was a first round pick. But Cody Glass was acquired from Vegas.
Tomasina. I like Philip Tomasina.
Philip Tomasino is a good player, but
was he in 2019? Ezzy, was he the same draft as Heinola?
I believe he was. It was 2018, 2019. Yeah, Tomasino is a good player.
I like him. He's a center, so I mean, he's one.
Is he in the AHL right now?
Yeah, he's playing for Milwaukee. Yeah. I liked him for the Jets. Actually, I thought the Jets could have drafted him.
But you look at Forsberg. They didn't develop. They got him out of Washington. That terrible Martin Erat trade. Yeah, it was one of the worst trades of all time. But they didn't develop him. They didn't draft him. You look at Duchesne. They get him as a free agent, or wherever he bounced around after he went from Colorado and then to Ottawa, and then he ended up in Nashville. So they just that's I think part of the problem for Nashville in terms of their future is they just haven't drafted very well. They haven't developed guys very well, and that you got to see that, and that they win the game. So this is. They get full marks for the victory, but there's just not a ton there. That
if you take UC Saros, UC Saros away, Drew, and you probably have 10 less points. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, well, that's right. Great, exactly.
UC Saros, I think a strong argument can be made. He's the best goalie in the league right now. I mean, don't get me wrong. Hellebuyck is minimum top 3, and I think Sorokin is in that conversation. I think Igor Shesterkin is in that conversation. Andrei Vasilevsky, but. How many times this year, guys, have we talked about how UC Saros has had 40-plus saves, right? Like, he does that regularly, and he's not a big goalie, like it was mentioned on the broadcast by Dan Robertson. Yeah. In an era of 6'3", 6'4" goalies, UC Saros is 5'11", 6 feet, right? Yeah. So, yeah, Saros is, there's no doubt, he's the most valuable player in addition to Roman Josi. But, yeah, I mean, maybe the Predators go on a miraculous run similar to, the 2019 Blues, but I don't see it. I think Colorado is the team you have to be looking out for if you're the Oilers and the Flames. There's
no question about it. Colorado's beginning to roll, and that's a scary thought for everybody in the Western Conference. In any event, the Predators get the game-winning goal off the stick of Tanner Jeannot. It looks like, from my perspective, Manalainen turns the puck over.
Yeah, he did along the wall.
Wall. Tanner Jeannot comes in. Kevin Stenlund is in a chase position, and it's a nice wraparound by Tanner Jeannot. You don't like that, Stenlund is in that position where he's chasing. You don't like the turnover by Manalainen. Hellebuyck with a yeoman's effort to get across the crease to try and keep it out, but he just can't do so. And the Predators take a 2-1 lead with about 14 minutes to go in the third period. And the Jets pushed. The Jets pushed and they got some opportunities. Kyle Connor had a couple whacks. Mark Scheifele had a couple whacks. Nikolai Ehlers obviously, had an opportunity later in the game. They just weren't able to beat UC Saros. They weren't able to beat the post, and that's ultimately the difference in tonight's game with the Jets dropping that 2-1 result.
Yeah, and really, like, we went back and went over the goals and everything like that, but this game was there for the taking for either team, right? So look at. I mean, sometimes you lose tight games when, like We talked about, how good Ilya Samsonov was at the beginning of this road trip, and UC Saros, kind of similar type of game, if you think about it, right? Obviously, a lot less weapons on this Predators team, as we've talked about quite a bit here tonight. But look, the Jets, they have to beat Buffalo.
Buffalo's playing good hockey. I mean,
Buffalo's absolutely playing, and they win again tonight.
They won again tonight. That's 4 in a row for them now. And we know how much trouble they gave the Jets. The Jets won in Buffalo, but it wasn't pretty. So you know how much trouble they gave the Jets. They beat St. Louis 5-3 tonight. That's a team that's won 25 of the 47 games that they've played. That's a team that's, probably, I would think, better than their place in the standings. Right now, they're 3 points behind Washington for the second wild card spot. They have 2 games in hand. They have a good goal differential, plus 20.
I hope the Sabres get in. It's been way too long. What has it been, 10 years?
No, it's longer. I think
longer
it's like
than
13.
that.
I think it's like 13 or 14 years, Ezzy.
Yeah, and it'd be fun. I mean, who knows? I mean, they could easily get swept in the first round by Boston, but it would still be fun.
They're playing good hockey, so this is not a cakewalk for the Winnipeg Jets on Thursday or anything remotely close to that.
Frosty Winnipeg saying 17. I thought it was 14, but
it could be very well.
It could
Frosty
be.
might be right.
Every time we have Marty Biron on, I always go and look at Wikipedia just to see the list or hockey DB.
Are we talking about the Donald Odette, Stu Barnes era?
Are we
going back that far? Like Alexei Zhitnik?
Well, let's find out.
Are we going back that far? Teppo Numminen?
I'm not sure. I mean, aren't they still? Who was the guy that they signed from Philadelphia to that 10-year contract?
Oh wow!
You know who I'm talking about.
I know exactly who you're talking about. I cannot remember who that player is.
The last time they were in the playoffs was 2010. Frosty's Winnipeg. It was wrong. I was closer to being right. 2010, 2011. They lost in the conference quarterfinals to the Flyers. 2011.
Oh gosh, now I'm trying to remember.
Teppo wasn't on the Sabres at that.
Wasn't it a Russian guy?
Last year was 2009.
There was Christian Ehrhoff. They'd signed Christian Ehrhoff to a ridiculous contract, but then there was a guy that they took from the Flyers. Oh, what was his name? Come on, Chad, help me out. Oh shoot, I'm trying to remember what his name. I think a Finnish guy who had a good playoffs, and then the Sabres signed him to a ridiculous contract. Boy, I'm trying to remember now.
This is really how you get off the rails here.
This is where we go. Yeah, exactly where we go down the.
Drew, we have something called a commercial break where you could look this up on something called Google.
That's true. I could do something.
I'm going to find him. I'm going to find him.
It was
Billy Lino. You got it.
And they didn't sign him. They didn't sign him to a 10-year contract. It was Ehrhoff they signed to the 10-year contract. Ehrhoff was 10 years, $44 million, 4.
Did they sign Ehrhoff to 10 years, Drew?
Yeah, because it was before the salary cap. Well, why is a different story altogether. It was
Ehrhoff was a solid defenseman, but yeah.
It was Ville Lino that they signed to a $27 million contract over 6 years. Those were the 2 bad contracts, and they were signed within 24 hours of each other.
You know who I was going to say, Drew? This might be going back to the Red River Radio days. Fabian Brunstrom. That's the guy I was thinking of.
That's pretty bad too. And long story short, it's been some dark times in Buffalo, but they're playing better hockey, and the Jets have to be aware of them when they come to town on Thursday. The Jets start the 3-game homestand against the Sabres, also welcome the Flyers, and then round it up with the St. Louis Blues, a team that is an absolute disaster. There was not really any great shots in tonight's game. So I'm not going to take a shot of Fireball, but we still have to give a shout out to our friends at Seagram's who do sponsor the shot of the game.
I just think you're not doing it because you drank all of the Fireball, Drew.
No, I still have a little bit left here. I'm going to have to get some more. So
do it.
I'm not going to do it right now. It's 10:20 and I haven't started. If it's one thing if I've already had some wine or something in the course of the evening, but I haven't had anything to drink yet. So if I'm starting to drink at 20 minutes after 10, then it's a little bit my wife's going to be like, why do you have alcohol in your breath when you're
Dave, I think Drew's trying to tell us that he's getting the shakes because he hasn't had a drink in a little while.
Seagram's VO integrity, tradition, and craftsmanship. Check it out, of course, at your local liquor mart or wherever you can get fine spirits everywhere. Let's go to break. When we come back, we'll talk more about tonight's Jets loss in Nashville. And of course, our contest shenanigans still to come. It's a Tuesday evening. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg with you. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. We're live on YouTube. We're live on all of our social media platforms.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
Come on, there's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time. Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com. For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. A couple relevant things happening on the out-of-town scoreboard right now in Colorado. There's just over 4.5 minutes to go. The Avalanche have a 3-2 lead over the Washington Capitals. If the Avalanche hold on and win tonight in regulation or overtime, it does not matter. They will leapfrog the Minnesota Wild into third place in the Central Division, which would mean, of course, if the playoffs were to start after that game, the Jets and the Avalanche would face off in a first-round playoff matchup. Congratulations on all your success this year. This is what you have to deal with, which is, part of the reason why the playoff system is a little bit silly in the NHL, but that's a separate issue altogether. So as we all said, the Avalanche were going to make their push. They've won 5 in a row. They're striving to win their 6th in a row, and if they do so, they'll be third in the Central Division. they would be 8 points behind the Jets and the Stars with 3 games in hand. So here comes Colorado.
And
then,
it's unlikely that the Avalanche will catch the Jets, but I mean, it wasn't too long ago that the Avalanche were like 14 or 15 points back, right? So you win 6 games in a row, and the Jets lose 3 of 5, and there you go.
That's right. And the Minnesota Wild have lost 3 in a row as well. So you can see why Colorado has been able to gain so many points on the Wild. And another score in his debut so far in behind the bench for the Canucks. Rick Tocchet not doing too much.
You mean Rick Tocchet?
Yeah, Rick Tocchet and the Vancouver Canucks. Look, I'm somebody who has on occasion on this program mispronounced some players'
Never,
names.
Drew. You've never made a mistake once.
Honestly, once or twice I have, but I've never mistaken the word Canucks for Canucks. And
who looks at the last name Tocchet and says Tocchet?
The weirdest part of the whole thing, I'm pretty sure it was a broadcaster from Seattle. So somebody in Seattle should.
No, it was Washington.
Was it? Washington?
No, it was Fox. It was Fox. It was Fox because remember he used to be the coach in Washington.
Oh, when they said Washington, I assumed they meant Washington State in this.
No, Washington D.C.
Still though, Dave. I mean, that was like that. That's going to be played forever.
I don't know. I think the funny.
I think it's funny. I don't care. I don't care at all. No, I just think it's funny that she said Bruce Boudreau.
Yeah.
And then Rick Tocchet and Canucks.
Yeah. Canucks was my favorite one. Canucks is a good one. Like it sounds like what somebody would think like a Canadian, like making fun of Canadian accents would say. Yeah, a boot Canucks. In any event, the Canucks are losing 2-1 to Chicago. The game is still in the second period. The Canucks have 33 shots on goal. The Blackhawks have 8, and yet the Blackhawks are currently winning 2-1. So things going well as per usual in Vancouver.
And the Hawks
everything about what you just said is depressing.
Yeah. The fact they gave an update on the Canucks.
Yeah,
on the Canucks
honestly,
let's
move on.
Okay, let's get into the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment for tonight's game. We do this on each and every post game following Jets games. You good folks in the chat put out some of those terrific comments. We highlight one and award that winner with a Tough Duck toque, courtesy of our friends at Tough Duck. Ezzy.
Yeah, I've got the winner here, and you're going to need that toque because I don't know if you've looked at the forecast. It's going to be minus 30 tomorrow. So we're going to give it to, exactly, Chris Koff. The Jets are barely over 500 in their past 9 games with 5 wins and 4 losses. Something's not clicking like it was earlier. Jets need to win all these last 3 at home before the break, need more consistent scoring. That comment was from about 40 minutes ago. I love it because, really, I think what you've seen, in addition to the Jets just not playing well for, a period here, a period there. I mean, you've got to get contributions from, the Adam Lowrys and, the Axel Jonsson-Fjällbys. And I really realized that Jonsson-Fjällby scored, on the road trip, but I'm just saying that they've got to get more consistent scoring from their bottom 2 lines. So Chris, send me an email, ezra@illegalcurve.com. And with your mailing address, and then Tough Duck will ship out a toque to you. So your noggin is nice and warm for this cold stretch coming up.
Yes,
I think that's the same Chris Koff who may or may not have just recently won the Jets authentic merch. So
nice.
He's going to be a double
winner.
Well, nothing better than that. Winning is contagious, as they like to say.
I just spilled Diet Coke all over my beard.
Oh boy, I hate to see when that happens. Probably not the first time tonight, though, is it?
Hate to see my rug
you would think that I would figure this out, but obviously I have a drinking problem.
I was going to say you've only been alive for 40 some odd years. One of these days you'll be able to figure out how to put the liquid right in your mouth and not on Dave's carpet. Yeah, Dave, I'm sure that diet caffeine free Coke stain
just goes with all the other stains that Ginsburg's left, so I'm okay.
Exactly right. It's okay. It's part of the price you pay for having him in your house. The Illegal Curve merchandise contest rolls on as it always does. We're reaching the end of the month. We're getting close to the end of the month, so you want to keep putting your entries in. You want to keep gaining your entries, more and more ballots into the draw, because coming up a week from now, ahead of the St. Louis game, we're going to draw a winner of 2 tickets to an NHL game of their choosing. And of course, the more entries you have, the more chances you have to win. So you go to the contest page, you click the link, you see all the things you can do to gain entries. You should do those things. And one of those things is entering in the unique code word for the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. Tonight's unique code word, Dave M., please explain why it's Dunkin' apostrophe.
Actually, I don't think, hold on, I got to edit that. Let me edit that out because the apostrophe doesn't work in the program, Drew.
Okay, we're changing
we're going to do some quick editing here.
The unique code word. I repeat, we are changing the unique code word.
There is an apostrophe in Dunkin' Donuts.
I know there is, but when I tried to put it in, it didn't work. But I want to start off by congratulating one of our loyal viewers, listeners, who in advance, like Frosty and so many of you do, tried to guess the word. And because you listened to the show and know that I went on a rant the other day about when Ezzy and I were in Nashville and ate a giant box, I think was that Saturday show, Ezzy? We talked about the box of day-old Dunkin' Donuts that you and I were walking around Nashville eating.
Well, we went for a little walk. We got to give Richie a shout out because it was his bachelor party. Drew was there, of course. We were all there, a big group of us.
Yeah,
there was like
20. I wasn't at the Dunkin' Donuts with you guys. I think I was.
No, well, we went for a walk, but that was also after we took a little walk on the campus of
Vanderbilt University, where, by the way, my University of Kentucky Wildcats blew out the Vanderbilt Commodores earlier tonight in basketball. Watch out, folks. The Wildcats are making their run, winners of 3 in a row ahead of the big clash on Saturday night with the Kansas Jayhawks in Rupp Arena.
You can't mess with Kentucky, but that Vanderbilt campus is beautiful. But
there we go.
Yeah, there's me holding up. Well, that's 30 pounds lighter there.
That's pre eating the box of Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts are delicious, and yeah, we were more than happy to take those day olds.
We were
good times.
So that's the reason why the word is Dunkin' Donuts. So congratulations to everybody who's going to enter it, but especially to I believe it was Matt who did it and was the first person to guess. So well done, Matt. Although actually it's funny because I used the apostrophe in the contest, it actually only entered it as Dunkin'. So it wasn't actually Dunkin' Donuts. So I've amended it, and obviously I had to remove that apostrophe. So we're good now.
All one word.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts. There is a unique code word for the Illegal Curve contest. The merchandise contest winner. Who are we awarding some authentic Jets gear to, Mr. Manu?
Put their name up on the thing. Dave Boyechko.
Dave's not here, man.
He's a Boychuk.
I feel like I know Dave Boyechko. That name sounds very familiar. I don't know why, but that name is very familiar. So Dave Boyechko, you are a winner on the Illegal Curve contest.
Congratulations to Dave Boyechko. Dave Manouk will
from
be
one Dave to another. Congratulations.
Yes, Dave Manouk will be in touch with Dave Boyechko to get him his authentic Winnipeg Jets gear, courtesy of us here at Illegal Curve. Your next.
By the way, sorry, Drew, I was just going to say, love the congrats, love the people congratulating the other people, whether those are winners themselves. I love the positivity. Love the people we have in the chat throwing out the congrats to Dave.
There you go.
Nice to see that positive support.
That's true. It is nice to see some positive support. They're all friends. We're all friends here. They're all friends in the chat.
This is a safe place. It's always been a safe space.
And if you're being friendly, hit that like button.
That's right. Exactly. If you're liking things, if you're liking each other, you might as well like the Illegal Curve YouTube channel as well. And while you're at it, if you don't already do so, I'm sure that although you do, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and leave us feedback on YouTube, on iTunes, on Spotify, anywhere where you can download this fine podcast. Leave us some feedback. We always love to hear what you guys think about this show, such as our inane ramblings that entertain us so much. We're going to next be in action on Thursday night. The Jets back home at downtown Winnipeg for 3 before they head to the All-Star break. It starts with Buffalo, 9:45 on Thursday night here on the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. Then Philadelphia on Saturday, and then wrap it up with St. Louis on Tuesday. So that's all things that you can look forward to and that you can schedule into your calendar to come up this week and then early into next. We want to say a big thank you to all the sponsors of the Illegal Curve post-game show. the Saturday show, and the website. They make it all a possibility. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Kevin Farley in town as Frosty Winnipeg is putting up on the screen right now. Linden Market, I guess Dave's putting it up on the screen after Frosty typed it in there. Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park, and the Keg. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Colorado wins 3-2 in regulation. They're in third place in the Central Division now. The Jets lose 2-1 in Nashville. They remain tied with the Dallas Stars. Dallas is a point ahead of them now. The Jets 1 point behind Dallas in the Central Division. Next in action Thursday night, we'll be here for that post-game show right around 9:45 p.m. For Dave Minuk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Thanks for joining us. This has been the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.